Sean Salisbury here for my Pickswise College Football Picks of the Week Championship style. Yep, I'm picking 6 games this week, not 5. I'm going to even possibly give you the score in all these just for the fun of it, but we're really looking at point spreads. Let's put some money in your pocket. Let's gamble responsibly. On a pretty good roll lately, so let's make sure that we do this thing, and let's see if we can't give you some holiday cheer with some of these picks as we go into these championship games and as we look forward to bowl games and obviously the Final Four playoff. Let's start the Big 12 championship. This is 2 great coaches in Matt Campbell and Lincoln Riley, and for different reasons, and some of them the same. Players respond. Both have good quarterbacks. Lincoln Riley from Jalen Hurts and now Spencer Rattler and Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. Is there a better guy in the country right now at getting dudes to play either to their level, which is a high level, or even above it? Yeah, he's pretty awesome. So I get why high school kids say, man, I want to play for that cat. And Matt Campbell, people in demand, college, NFL people constantly wanting him, and Iowa State loving him. Iowa State's tough, and they hang around. Oklahoma, while we always give them credit for offense and running the ball and throwing it, and offensive line moving people, defense has gotten better. That's why they are better, and that's why they're starting to peak. Hell of a football game. It's 5.5 points is what Iowa State's getting in this game, and I like it. I think this is coming down to a late game. I do, and I think a lot of these games may. 31-30. I got Oklahoma winning this football game, but 5.5 points. If you're giving me those, I'm taking them. I got Iowa State getting inside that late game win by OU, but they're going to hang around. This should be a really, really good football game. The Big Ten championship game, Ohio State obviously heavy favorites. I saw it at 20.5 points, and now I see it at 18.5 points on some sites. Playing Northwestern, Pat Fitzgerald's teams always play hard. They've actually spread it out and thrown it a little bit more and can get you some points. I think Ohio State wins it, and I've been on Ohio State a lot, meaning picking them to cover in games because they're so explosive. This is going to be a hell of a football game as well. Ohio State's going to win it. I got them winning by 10 points, but at 18.5 and it's starting to creep down closer to that number, I would have taken them at 20.5, obviously, and even at 18.5 with those 2 more points. I'm taking Northwestern, Big Ten championship. Pat Fitzgerald knows how to get guys to respond. They're not going to win 34-24 Ohio State, but inside that 18.5 points, that's a lot of points for a well-coached football team, although Ohio State obviously is more explosive. To Florida and Alabama SEC championship game. Florida can't run it very well. Matter of fact, they don't run it at all for the most part. They're not going to be able to run it against Alabama. Alabama's going to gear up to stop one dimension. That's a great quarterback in Kyle Trask, who's a Heisman Trophy candidate, still in the mix, but he's probably dropped to 3rd now with 2 Alabama guys in front of him and trying to make this thing happen. They're 17-point dogs are the Florida Gators. 17-point dogs. I just think that they're going to, with all the times that Kyle Trask is going to have to throw, and I think that Alabama can move the ball on anybody in the country with a couple of their own Heisman Trophy candidates, and Smith and obviously Mac Jones and Sarkisian's calling plays. He's in a great rhythm. Too much defense for Alabama as they've started to get better as the season's gone along. Not enough run game. There could be some 3 and outs, 3 incompletions or 2 completions and not 10 yards and you punt. And Alabama, when they get it, they're so devastating. If Florida had a run game or a semblance of one, it'd be one thing. I think they're going to have to throw 45 to 55 times to hang in it. Too physical, too much. I love Florida's football team. I just think their one dimension of passing is going to catch up to them. I got Alabama 41, Florida 20. The spread at 17, Alabama minus 17. I wouldn't go much more than that because I think that this is one of those that could get you on a backdoor Florida cover because they're going to throw it so much. But I think Alabama wins this going away. I will give you those 17 points if I'm Alabama. I got Alabama at minus 17. Tulsa, Cincinnati, AAC championship game. Now, I've watched Cincinnati a bunch of times this year. Man, I like this team. They're well coached. They play defense. They can score. And still not getting the love they deserve. I know they've moved up, but man alive, I would love to see 8 teams in this and see if Cincy could compete with one of the big dogs. And we say one of the big dogs, I think they actually are becoming a big dog. And think about this now, of the Power 5 conferences, and they're not in it. I think this year nationally, more people hold the AAC in higher regard than they do the Pac-12. I do. Now, I'm a Pac-12 guy. Hard for me to say, but I think nationally the perception is that they're better this year. Now, they are better at the top because they're ranked higher, but I'm just talking about overall. and the Pac-12 should be offended by it, but the AAC should be proud. Good football teams. Cincinnati, 14.5-point favorites. I think this is one of those, you got to lead, you got the spread covered over Tulsa, and then all of a sudden, boom, Tulsa gets inside the thing. Okay, at 13. I got it 34-21, Cincinnati over Tulsa. Championship game, Tulsa can score as well. This is going to be fun to watch. Cincinnati's going to continue on their onslaught of an undefeated season. Minus 14, I'm going on the plus side. I'm taking Tulsa. They lose 34-21 or somewhere in that range, 13-point difference, but I think they get inside the 14.5 points in the AAC championship game. Notre Dame and Clemson, listen, this has started higher, and it has also come down. Clemson now, the over-under, I thought about this one. I'm still thinking about it. I think I'm taking the over at 59.5, but I've seen that come down a little bit as well from earlier, so it's been around that. But Notre Dame and Clemson, we saw both teams can score. But I'm going to go a little bit lower in a championship-type game, ACC championship game, where they're a little bit uptight. They get Trevor Lawrence back after losing to Notre Dame. Clemson doesn't want to be a two-loss team. They do not want to be a two-loss team in this one. Why? Well, because it gets to a point that it is championship. Do we get to the Final Four? Trevor Lawrence, if Notre Dame beats us twice. I think Notre Dame, if they keep it close, is in no matter what. Trevor Lawrence back. This is minus 10, and I thought I saw it at 10.5 earlier, and that hook's crazy because my score originally is 41-31, which becomes a push. I'm going to take it and make it 42-31, where Clemson covers that 10 points. And I'm more apt, and you can jump on this if you want, to take the over in this as well. And a 41-30 type game gives me the over by a lot. I would take the over in this, and I would also take Clemson. 10.5, I thought I had it as a 10-point game. But at 10, I think Clemson can get to that point, like 41-30 type of football game. I got Clemson. Trevor Lawrence is the difference in this, the future first pick of the draft. And finally, out in the Pac-12, that's the game Friday night, and that is SC, 3-point favorites over Oregon. And SC allows teams to hang around. Oregon and Mario Cristobal, good football team. A lot of talk about what's he going to do. They're talking about extending his contract, or maybe they're close and he's just got to sign it. But other places are interested in him. He loves physicality, and they've got athletes. But SC knows how to finish. So if this game's close in the end, Keaton Slovis, underrated when it comes to the numbers and the accuracy across the country. I'm going to stick with my Trojans, barely. Everything they do is barely this year. 31-27, Trojans beat Oregon. They cover that 3 points, but it's close, and you're stressing over it down the stretch. But if Slovis has the ball last, USC scoring, because their perimeter receivers are about as good depth-wise as anybody in the nation. They're going to win this game, but it's going to be a close, and I have all the respect in the world for Oregon. Pac-12 obviously not going to the Final Four playoff. Good bowl game on the line, obviously, but I'm taking USC to cover. They did me right last week with a big drive late. It may take that again. Trojans win 31-27 and become the Pac-12 champions. Hope you enjoy. I'm Sean Salisbury. That's my championship Pickswise picks of the week. Look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great week heading into the holiday season. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. But we'll talk next week before we get into this. Appreciate you, and you guys have a great one.